I'm excited to share this information from you. And ironically, I just closed a rural property passive house certified home yesterday. So it was a 2-year journey that I'll share when I get into my case studies. But anyway, I'm Teresa Lopez. I'm a national licensed banker who also is broker. And then I do green economic development through Green Energy Money, which I've been transcending for the last 25 years of my career. So I've been working on different analytics for various parts of the industry where there's gaps, and I think there's a lot of need. So one of the things I always try to cover, because people ask me after my presentations, what is it you do? Because it's such a loaded thing, is one of the problems we saw is green appraisal were able. So I've been in the lending industry for 35 years. I love green construction. It's just my jam. So I love the small pocket community development projects and, of course, the passive house and the leading edge, what I call the leading edge or bleeding edge, really, of technology today, and being able to advance your charge into the conventional markets in the lending industry, which has been a 20-year feat, by the way. It's been a really interesting journey, and I probably should have run away a lot of times, but here I am. I drank the Kool-Aid, and I can't find the antidote yet. Marketing is education. So we train realtors, builders, appraisers, lending teams, how to do these analytics and recognize the value of these homes and treat the transaction and reward it instead of punish it with the right incentives, and quality assurance and risk performance. So we offer, a way for the lending institutions in particular as a third party being like the central of between the appraisal valuation lending and the builder and all of the stakeholders in the transaction. We offer a way to be able to show what the risk mitigation is, and the resilience in particular is something I'm particularly on board right now. So really laser focused on resilience at this point. We're past energy savings now. We need to get to the real story of, climate change and the things that we're mitigating. So we offer incentivized financing. We place homeowners and builders and projects with the right lenders, and we, bring all of these valuations to light. So what is a green building worth? How do we quantify a premium? How is it possible with the current market? And still, after 20 years of doing this and working on this issue, I will tell you there is still a fragmentation of data out there, misinformation. Information, it costs too much. I can't afford it. I'll never get the payback on it. That is no longer the case. And still, we're seeing this being, you know, the industry itself understands it, but the market doesn't. So there's this huge disconnect that we are now connecting the dots to. So we're bringing this missing comparable sales data, adding ways to be able to really do this easily, effortlessly, and create the right value and proposition that everyone can understand. So what are the key points of a green appraisal? Well, first thing, the only takeaway I'm going to ask you today is to remember the AIR policy, appraisal independent requirements. This is your key to the kingdom. So if you have an appraiser on a transaction that has not done his job and quantifying this as a green home, you have a right to say, no, I won't accept that appraisal. I want someone competent, and the competency ruling is your number one go-to for problem solving in this one issue. So there's a lack of knowledge and experience. So an appraiser isn't supposed to accept the order unless they are competent in that art. So one of the things we do is we have a panel of national appraisers that we have trained, have gone through our program. So when we get a project that's high performance, we go to that database only. We do not use a conventional appraiser. And we get around that by being able to technically choose out of our panel of appraisers because of that competency ruling. Second thing is the market comparison. So the whole market is stuck on, this paired sales analysis approach. That means that they want to see an apple for an apple, an orange for an orange, when it absolutely makes no sense at all. So market comparisons, you're up against older homes a lot of times. You're up against homes that have absolutely no features even comparable to yours. And you have appraisers that are interpreting the rules the wrong way, and they're saying, oh, I need another house that is exactly a passive house certified in order to use it. And I can't find one. So therefore, I can't do the appraisal. Okay. And that is just not the case. If you think of green amenity, green, or what I call green, simplified version or high performance measures, they're truly an amenity to the building. The building's still a building. You still got a foundation, you got a roof, you got all the components of a normal house, but you have these things that set it apart. What sets it apart is the amenity of the high performance measures. So we treat that with our appraisal team and all of our education as an amenity. So we don't need an exact comp. We don't need a high performance home to compare it to. We don't need a solar home to compare a home with solar either. So all of that are misconceptions. Again, like all the rules are up for interpretation and everybody interprets it the wrong way. When we do our training for appraisers, they go, aha, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. You're right. We don't need a comp if there's a swimming pool and I can't find a house that's sold with a swimming pool. We don't need one that has a great view. We don't need one that, has these different amenities to it or an ADU. So this is the way that it works. This is one of the reasons it works, is because we're using this market comparison in a different reverse engineering way. The other thing is providing quantified sufficient data. If you don't give the now, we'll say this with the caveat that sufficient data, it has to be interpreted by the person receiving the data. So if you've got an appraiser who is very much closed down and not willing to look at new tricks or anything, on an innovative level, they're not going to know, and they're not going to research how to even interpret your data. As an example, we use HERS as their benchmark for being able to quantify the green premium. But if they don't know how to look at a HERS and interpret the HERS, it's going to be very difficult to get that transaction closed. So all that said, as hard as we try to educate the entire market, we've found that working with our own lending teams and our own people and our base of appraisers on a nationwide scale is the only way it works, unfortunately. I wish it was mainstream. It just isn't. It's still considered a niche market, unfortunately. But that's going to change really soon, I believe. We're on the trend right now. Fannie Mae and secondary markets do allow adjustments up to 15%. Never seen anything over 10% on a value on the green premium measures, but it is allowable. I believe there will be adjustments up to 15% as the market goes forward. We do have present value formula savings. We're allowed to use different formulas to be able to do this. I have different approaches that we allow the appraisers to do. And then the available tools. So I want to point out there's several tools that you can use. I did have DOE up here. I'm not even sure if that website's I didn't even check the links. I just took them off. But green energy money calculators are a very great tool, and a lot of our appraisers, real estate community, and builders even use our calculators. And the link is right there. It's greenenergy.money. So again, I said this is the takeaway. So I just want to get into the appraisal. USPAP is the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practices. So these are what guides the appraisers. So under USPAP's ruling, you're going to find the air policy, and that's where your key to the kingdom is for being able to refute and rebut appraisals that do not incorporate a green premium value in them. And this is something that, requires them appraisers to identify the problem and have knowledge and experience to complete the assignment competently, the competency ruling. So that was the big takeaway that I want you to remember from all the words I just used. So what are the benefits of this? So improved interest rates. So when you have a green, so if you your loan to value is also tied directly to your interest rate. The lower the loan to value, the better the rate. So of course that premium is going to help you. So in essence, it becomes a green mortgage, even though we're using conventional loans to do, to fund with, because they're getting a better interest rate. So that's a big plus in our world. It lowers overall payments because what we don't include is the pie. So what I consider the pie is principal, interest, and energy cost. So if you compare those, and this is what I teach real estate agents because they go, oh, this is, you don't need a green home, or this is cost too much. You can go buy this one for less, but they're not using the energy cost as a benchmark to be able to compare that to really guide their clients in an economic way. So that's something that's very important. Resiliency, I can't just say enough about that, and low deferred maintenance costs. So these homes have a higher green premium value. They have energy interdependence in a lot of cases where they're generating more power, so they're able to add transportation to the housing story, which is fantastic. I'm so excited about the next generation of what I'm seeing. By the way, I'm usually about 3 generations ahead of the market. So I'm always ahead of the market. So what I'm seeing now is we are going to be incorporating green loans in with electric vehicles in the future. You'll be able to buy your house and your car in one package. And that's I have patents for that mortgage, by the way. So I'm hoping we can get that to market. These homes also hold their value and they sell for a higher premium, and we've proven that in many, many studies. There was a study with University of Texas, and I believe the U.S. Green Building Council that showed that these homes were, still selling for a higher premium. And cut my teeth a lot in Austin, Texas, so I can tell you that it's very true that these homes are holding their premiums and selling for more and more, a little bit more in demand. Who is your market, by the way? The demographics are very fascinating. Engineers and IT professionals represent over 60% of the market share that do the high performance and gravitate and resonate to high performance building and passive house design. Almost to the money, when I speak to a potential buyer or client or owner, I'm like, are you an engineer? They're like, how'd you know? I mean, how could I not know? Great questions, always organized, love their paperwork and the files. So anyway, so it's funny. So, what are the different loan products and different financial mechanisms you can use? So, banks, credit unions, private equity loan programs, there's a lot of those on the market. I'll get more into the weeds on that when I get into the case studies, but home equity line of credit, bank statement loans, custom construction and perm loans. And we've got builder spec development, and I'm going to show a case study that we use for an SBA. It's an SBA builder development credit line, and that was fantastic. We're also very connected to lenders who offer CPACE. If any of you are in that market of wanting to do a CPACE with with your commercial development. So this one we just closed in September of this year. This was, I don't know if Trey is on the call, but Trey Farmer was one of his clients, and we were beyond net zero on this. This was a tear down. Now, what's significant about this case study is that what we see typically in a tear down is the money and the financial is really upside down. So in other words, the excavation costs, if they had a loan on it prior because they just bought it, there's a lien on it, we always see that the money's going to be upside down. In this case, it actually appraised. I was very happy with the results. I was worried about the fact that there were, a lot of excavation cost in this because they tore this down to studs. It's also very, very difficult in my experience of any kind of retrofit, even a tear down to studs, to getting it to beyond net zero. So this to be a minus 13 HERS, and this owner's going to end up charging his car with it, And so he luckily and happily had enough land equity in the deal, and the land values had gone up. This was in central Austin. in the middle of, planned unit development of other houses. So we were able to comp it out, and there were enough there's plenty of comps now for high performance buildings in Austin, the Austin region. At least we become kind of a database for those as well. One of the other problems we see is that a lot of the houses don't go into the database of the MLS because they were never sold. Somebody bought the house, they tore it down, they built a, super high performance home on it, or they bought the land and then built on it. So they never go on the MLS until they're resold. So we are seeing resales from houses that we actually funded 5, 7, 10 years ago in Austin and other regions, Dallas, Fort Worth, other areas, Florida. We got a couple of footprints there too. So anyway, so that was a really fun story. This one just closed yesterday. And this client came to me 2 years ago. We had to redesign this thing twice because they reverse engineered their financial plan. This was their guest house. So this is actually phase one guest house and the solar and some of the infrastructure of putting getting rainwater harvesting and getting all the little systems in place. So it was a very difficult project because it was in the middle of nowhere, one rural, 22 acres, and trying to comp out a high performance story and valuation on top of it being in a rural area and only 1,485 square feet because it was the guest house first. And the next phase, starting next year, they're going to be putting the main house on there, and we're going to restructure this debt and put them in, get everything wrapped to be able to include the main house. So they'll live in this house while the main house is being built. And I see that quite often as a model. It happens more often than not. But anyway, it was a fun project. It took 2 years. So yesterday was the grand finale of closing into the permanent loan. We did the construction, the land financing, construction financing, and then the permanent financing at the end. And he was able to get a 6.5% 30-year rate, and everybody's happy, and it appraised way more than we thought. So luckily and happily, that region actually had appreciated as well, so which helped the story as well. This one it's a high performance. Oh, by the way, this is Passive House certified. They're actually in the process of getting this house certified right now. This one is Passive House Design Net Zero. And this developer came to me. He had two lots contiguous to each other, and we put him in the SBA credit line up to $5 million so that he would be able to build both houses without having to get financing again. This is a fantastic product, rather, if you've got multiple units that you want to build. For 5 years, you can use the same credit line, sell a house, use it again, sell a house, use it again, and you don't have to pay closing cost again. You don't have to get reapproved for financing again. My builders love this deal, and it's actually it's a no closing cost, and the payments are quarterly. It's just a great product, and it just revolves in and out. So you can use it for infrastructure, land acquisition, and ground up construction. And then he's going to flip these over to me to help him with the sales side of it. I've already been training the real estate agents that are listing this to be able to have them have a consistent language and know how to spin it to the right buyer. And this is an analytic that we developed for this to be able, a flyer that actually has the real estate information on the bottom of the flyer that they put in the MLS. So this is a really good tool that we can provide for real estate development projects and for homes for marketing purposes. So anyway, this is a late adapter market in Pennsylvania, so they really needed the extra education. I want to point out how awesome is it they're saving over $10,000 a year in energy savings. That's pretty remarkable. So retrofit market, I just want to point out that I think this is a very emerging opportunity right now. We have so much inventory that's so old that needs love. And I think what Forgecraft and Item 5 and others are doing with retrofitting existing build mini stock is brilliant and needs to happen more and more. So we've got products for that where we can put them into loans and, and get construction and, for retrofits. So that's kind of exciting. Residential new construction trends. So again, I say resilience is the number one thing that we get a lot of, and I'm seeing that to be the trend of people looking for how to shore up their climate change issues in different regions, in particular the Gulf Coast, in particular Florida and areas like that. So biophilic design, we're seeing that incorporating healthy environmental elements into the homes and bringing nature inside and outside is becoming another big trend that I'm seeing more and more incorporated into project scope of work. A multi-generational capability. I mean, families buying contiguous lots together, friends, people that are growing their children up together or building their little small pocket communities, which I love the pocket communities. I think they're very exciting. I think they're probably going to be the new trend coming online now. And of course, multifunctionality, live work, mixed use, being able to work and live in your, I did quite a few live work communities in Santa Fe, New Mexico, um, the lofts, and helped to bring Fannie Mae and get them LEED certified and get them approved as a conventional residential loan, which was kind of exciting and definitely ahead of its time at that moment when I did all those things. So high performance systems built design absolutely is a huge trend. So SIPs, modular, seeing ICF, and there's some exciting things happening with them becoming more resilient and of course less toxic and more environmental friendly. And then integrating outdoor space, agri-hood, regenerative farming. I go to farmers markets and tell everybody about, go watch, the different videos that are out there for regenerative farming. And it's so interesting to me because these farmers don't even know they're doing it and they're actually doing regenerative farming. They're not even aware it's a thing. It's kind of cute. Anyway, so new urbanism design, I see that as another trend that's happening. By the way, all these pictures are houses that we've funded over the years. This was a community in Terracina, rainwater harvesting, all green belt. I think it was a total of 20 something homes. And we did a lot of financing out there on the day. Rainwater sole source is a big thing now. So at any rate, with that, I'll just say thank you so much for joining us today. I want to thank my sponsor, Federal Savings Bank. They're my heroes because they get it. The underwriters love this, and it's just a wonderful thing. It's very hard to do what I do in the 3D world, if you will, without a team that understands it and is passionate about it as we are. So, and I really just want to say you guys are my heroes. I'm here for you, and I hope we can support you in the future. And if you want to check out my new book, you can sign up for that too.